it's really hard to figure out what you're going to need and what you're not going to need. And for us, like, if we keep going on, let's go 6 months now. So we did end up living in a hotel for about 6 weeks, and we moved into a rental unit where we used our ale within 12 months. And then we were out of ale, and then the entire time you're in this whole process, you still owe your mortgage. So you have to pay your mortgage every month. And the amount of time that I've spent on this fire at the beginning was probably 20 to 30 hours a week dealing with everything. Now, 18 months later, it's about 5 hours a week. So that's nice. But all of that time taken away from my job, taken away, and my husband and I are both self-employed, so we don't qualify for like any type of employment benefits or anything of that nature because we're our own boss. So that really sucked. So all of us, like, after the 3 to 6 month period, we went from what we were making to about a third of what we were making. So at the worst time possible, our businesses both just went because we were so busy with just, the random stuff that occurs, and we were not insured for business loss. I'm not even sure if that exists, because that would be awesome if your business starts to tank. You can just be like, insurance. So that was not ideal. But anyway, we're definitely gonna have to put this into a two-parter. So in that 3 to 6 month period, we still had the additional living expenses. However, if you fast forward to about a year out, after the fire, we still didn't have permits, and keep in mind, like, we've got to rebuild. That's how our insurance works. We are following all the government programs. We're doing everything the government's saying, the federal government, the Colorado government. That's a lot of governments telling you what to do, and holy shnikes, nobody talks to each other, which also goes back into why I was spending 20 to 30 hours a week, was because no one communicates, and just, it was just kind of a mess. So, and I did not anticipate that much work being done to my house, even though I'm technically fully insured. I didn't know my business was going to go to a third because I'm spending all this time dealing with this darn insurance claim, and I have wonderful insurance. So if I did not have this wonderful insurance, I don't even know what would happen. And the fact that I'm even able to rebuild is absolutely amazing. And I'm looking at a house right now that was a partial loss that they're going through absolute hell still, and it's been 18 months. So there's a lot of stuff, and I don't mean to be negative, because especially if you are at the very beginning of a disaster, it's just, there's a lot of information that I just didn't even know I needed to know. And so that's why I'm still talking right now. And if you do ever have any questions, my door is always open. I'll put my email in the comments. And it's just, it's a lot, and it's almost like a master class. And you build all these things, you do all these things, like, right, it's what you're supposed to do, and then it all gets taken away one day really quick. So anyway, so probably the 6 month or the 12 month, let's go to 12 months at this point in time. So 12 months post fire, a lot of times that's when your insurance runs out, which that's what doesn't really make sense to me. And it never occurred to me, and this is nothing negative about my insurance, but I've heard numbers like the average time to rebuild is 5 years, or like all of these really long times. And if that's the case, then why on earth is your living expenses, why is your insurance coverage only there for a year or 24 months? Like ours, we exhausted the finances of it. So ours didn't really have a time limit on it, but living in Boulder, Colorado, and having 1,100 houses all burned down at the exact same time kind of created a little bit of a cluster on houses and made rents almost double in some areas, which really sucked, but also caused us to run out of money quickly, theoretically trying to keep our kids in the same school or some type of stability, even though many of my neighbors were forced to leave the state, especially if they did not have the type of insurance that we had. And I keep saying that we were fully insured, and we were fully insured, and we're still going through financial hell. And that's just nothing that I was ever expecting in my life, to do these things. And if we didn't have the amount of savings that we have blitzed through is I mean, it's astonishing. Obviously, we're in a very well-to-do area. I'll just say it like it is. And it's, you know, the average home price is, well, in Boulder is over $1 million. These houses in this neighborhood, I think, average of around $950,000. So we're in a very affluent area. And we were very lucky to be in a position to have the amount of funds that we had in a savings account for a rainy day. Didn't know it would be a wildfire, but the amount of savings we have had to go through has been over 6 figures, and none of that was anticipated. And what if we didn't have those things? What if we hadn't done everything, you know, right? It would have just made the pain even worse. But sorry, now we're at there's a lot here. A lot of it all rotates around the finances, right? Like, that's just where everything seems to culminate, is the finances and the unexpected finances. Like, basically the business is going to a third, and that's, you know, wouldn't have happened if you were a W-2 employee, but you might have lost your job, or, you know. But anyway, the 12-month mark, now you're paying double mortgage, or a rent and a mortgage. Who can afford that? I don't know. We did it for about 6 months. We are now, this is where maybe my negative attitude for today is coming, and it's not going to be awful for 18 months. It's going to be fine. You're going to survive it. It's just, it comes in waves. Things come in waves. This is my last day in Colorado for a while, and so that's why I'm kind of in a bad mood, but figured I should do this video because so many people are affected by wildfires. But so this is definitely not a fun one. 18 months later, we are forced to leave. Not forced to leave, but we need to leave because we can't keep paying a double mortgage in Colorado, which it's very expensive to live in Boulder. We're very fortunate to have had that opportunity, but it's gone now, and we have to leave. I'm 40 years old, and we will be living with my parents for a couple months. A lot of neighbors left already, and so a lot of people will never get a chance to rebuild. So there's a lot of things that could happen. And I'm not saying this to be negative. It's just so you are prepared, so you can be better prepared than I was. And so if you have not had a wildfire and you're actually listening to this video at this point in time, get more insurance. It is worth it. And the bottom line, get more insurance. Even when you think you're fully insured, get more insurance, because the collateral damage is what has really gotten me. So now we are at the 18-month point. A lot of my neighbors, I don't know if some of them are ever going to go home. The people that have partial builds, they're trying to move on. They're done. They're even going through a harder time because they have to negotiate with insurance on what was damaged and what wasn't. At least with ours, the house is gone. So we have a molded pot, which is the only thing that survived. That and some Christmas light strands at our house. So at the 18-month mark, we're out of money. So we are able to rebuild, so that we do have that money, but we're out of money to stay. So we are forced to leave. And if you do watch my videos, we have a lot of great videos about living in Roatan, Honduras. And that's because I can build a house for $160,000, and that's where we're gonna go, because spending $5,000 a month on a mortgage here to live in a comparable house is not gonna happen. And that doesn't mean we couldn't have downgraded our lifestyle. We could have, and we are very fortunate. And so I don't want that to be the overarching thing, but we are leaving and we're going to use some more of our savings to buy a house and regroup, because we're not sure how long this house is going to take. And the thing is, we are one of the first, we are one of the leading groups, and so I can't even imagine if you're behind us and just not moving as fast as you are. And so just, if you ever have any questions, like, we're at 18 months, so hopefully I'll have more good news, and we do have good news. It's just there's a lot of collateral, financial, emotional baggage, maybe that's the better word, that I did not expect to have when, well, I never expected my house to burn down, right? I think I wanted to go back to the days where I was like, why is my insurance so much? This is stupid. Well, this is why your insurance is so much, and be very, very careful about who you use as your insurer. And I'm not saying use Country Financial. That's who I had. That's who I still have. I would say have a financial advisor who is a fiduciary. Go over your plan, because I'm in a very good state. Like, I'm better than 92% of my neighbors, and we're still hit hard. So I can't imagine losing everything and not being able to rebuild. It's just, ours is more timelines and businesses. Like, we used to have $1 million business. We don't have that. Business might not exist anymore, and that was going great until the fire. And so we were very privileged to have $1 million business, right? But we did not expect all of that to be taken away with the collateral damage of just the calamity of errors that has happened since. So thank you for watching. Whew, that's a long one.